conflicts, often at the heart of many jokes, unless you're involved in one of them.
Joining us now is anger management specialist Janet Pfeiffer. And Janet, more drama at the workplace than we knew?
There's always drama every place. The thing is, you know, conflict is a normal part of our everyday existence. We have it every place we go. And it's not a negative. It really isn't. Conflict can be very beneficial because it really challenges us to look at things from a new perspective and to expand, you know, our way of thinking. The problem occurs when people don't have the skills that they need to know how to resolve that effectively. And that's what happens in the workplace. It ends up costing American businesses billions of dollars a year in lost productivity, in, you know, in issues between their employees. So
results, of course, people going postal as we've come to know.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
He's taking it to the extreme, postal lawsuit. But I mean, in a day-to-day where you're in a situation and you sort of, you know, butt heads with someone at work, how do you get over that when you're each coming from a different, you know, headset and a different background and place?
Well, the key here is to approach conflict resolution with an open mind. You know, the mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's open. So when you are willing to look at the other person's perspective and consider that valid, even though you may not agree with it, then at least you open the lines of communication and the other party feels that, okay, at least you're listening, at least I can talk to you about this. So it's really important to try to understand their perspective as well as your own.
And of course, there are different dynamics in terms of whether you're talking to an equal coworker versus a boss.
Sure, absolutely. You have to know your position within the company. If I'm talking with a coworker, then we're on equal playing ground. But if I'm talking to my manager or to the, you know, the CEO of the company, I need to know my place. There's only so much input that I can share. You know, ultimately they're going to make the final decision.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you think we make at the workplace where these conflicts can happen?
Well, I think one of them is that we let our ego get in the way. All right, so it all becomes about me. It's like, well, this is what I want, and this is what's fair to me, and I don't have to put up with this other nonsense. And so we really have to step out of ego and once again look at the other person's perspective and consider it as valid as ours.
And say to ourselves, the rest of the people aren't really peons, but we're all equals.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. But then we get into this whole issue of right and wrong. We think that because two people disagree on something, it automatically means that one person's position is right and the other person's is wrong. So of course, if I'm disagreeing with you, I know that I'm right. The problem with that is that as soon as I try to prove you're wrong, you're going to defend your position even more. And now this disagreement now becomes an argument and possibly even a fight. So avoid using those terms right and wrong. A disagreement is simply a difference of opinion. That's it.
But what happens when hurt gets involved? When you're in a situation where, you know, there is this disagreement or difference of opinion and, you know, you're feeling hurt to the point of tears, yet, you know, it's embarrassing to go back, you know, to someone, I guess this is a girl thing more than a guy thing, and say, hey, you know, I'm so upset, I've been moved to tears, you know?
Right. Well, one thing that we need to learn is not to take things personally. Okay, if the other person is behaving badly, that's their issue. Their behavior is about them. It really isn't about me. So if my feelings are being hurt, what that's an indication of is that I need to work more on strengthening my own self-esteem, to feel more comfortable with myself so that if somebody challenges me, I don't take it personally. But if you find yourself really starting to get emotional, there's no reason why you can't stop and take a break. You know, just say, you know what, excuse me, but I have to run into the ladies' room. That's a big one with me. Run into the ladies' room. Nobody will follow you. They'll let you go. And just give yourself time to kind of recompose yourself.
You know what I found helps, and maybe you can talk about this, is rather than talk about what you disagree on, is saying, look, here's the objective. What can we take from your end and my end to make it work? That's
a perfect suggestion, because what happens is we get stuck on what's not working. We argue about what the problem is, and then of course we look for somebody to blame. Well, this is your fault. Well, no, it isn't. It's yours. Rather than focusing on the solution, you have to identify what's not working within the company and then immediately put your focus on, well, how do we correct this? How do we make this situation better? What are the things that we can do that are going to benefit the entire company? Because it's not just just about me. You know, we have to look at the bigger picture here, and very often people lose sight of that.
And sometimes that bigger picture does include lawsuits. How do we stay out of that area? I mean, that's not a place I think anyone wants to go.
No, if you've ever been involved with the judicial system, you don't ever want to have to go back, because lawsuits can cost companies anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 and drag on for 2 to 3 years. So it's really critical. They've done studies and they've shown that where companies train their employees in conflict resolution skills, they can cut way back on the amount of issues that end up in litigation.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my
always
pleasure.
wonderful having you here.
Oh, always wonderful being here.